Hi, welcome to the session by rootfabric.com. In today's session, we're going to talk about strings in Python. So a string is just a sequence of characters that represents a message. So that can represent like a word, a paragraph, sentence, anything. And it can include numbers. And you can give a variable a string type or a string value. So if I had the variable x and I set it equal to hello world like this, x is the entire message and as the type string. So again, if you printed type x, x is a string. In Python, you can use singular double quotes if you wanted a string, so you could do the same message just with single quotes. You print x, print y. You print the same message twice. It doesn't matter whether you use single or double quotes. It's just nice about Python because it adds to clarity because there's no confusion when you're seeing single or double quotes. You don't have to worry about which one it is. There's another thing you can do with quotes, which is if you wanted a multi-line comment, you could use quotes. So let's say this is a multi-line comment. So this is a comment in multiple lines, and all you had to do is include the triple quotes at the beginning and the end. It's helpful because if you had just a single line comment like this is a comment. You had this is another comment. Because there's no hashtag here, this line isn't treated as a comment. Only this one is. So every time you had a line of code that you wanted to be, or every time you had a line that you wanted to be treated as a comment, you would need to include another hashtag. So the triple quotes gets around that, or else I would have to keep adding hashtags. So one really important thing to understand about strings in Python is strings are lists or arrays. So what that means is a string is just a sequence of characters starting at position 0 and going through the entire string as if it were a list. So that means H is position 0, E is position 1, L is position 2, and so on until the end of the string. So if you wanted to refer to the character E in the X string, you could do this. And again, this is position 1. This isn't the first letter. Position 1 is actually the second character. So if you run, you'll see the E. So that's the second character, or position 1 in the string. You could also like loop through the characters of a string using like a loop. So if you did I in range 5, print x sub I, that would print hello but vertically because it would print a character at a time, and then after every single character it would have a new line. So it would print H, skip a line, print E, skip a line, print L, and the message would be printed out vertically until it went through 5 characters. So that's just one way to loop through a string. You could also get a slice of a string using the colon. So if you had print x 2 to 4, you run, that would print LL because it would print position 2, position 3, but not position 4. This 4 is not inclusive. So this is the starting position, and then this is the ending position, not including the ending position. So if you made this like an 8, then it would print out all those characters in that specific slice. You could also do reverse indexing to print out parts of a string. So if you wanted to print out the last 3 characters, you can do this. Oops. Why isn't it showing? Let's do this. I never use reverse indexing, so it's a little bit confusing. But yeah, so it starts this slice. It uses indexes starting from the end rather than from the beginning. So the slice still works the same way as this slice does. It's just the starting position is from the end. So -3 refers to -1, -2, and -3. So you start with the L, and then you go to position -1, which is the period, but you don't include the period, so it'd be LD. That's why you see the LD. So that would be negative indexing. Strings have a ton of methods or a ton of functions used to manipulate strings because strings are a pain in coding, and you need to manipulate them in a lot of ways. So I'll go through a few of them, but not all of them because there's just too many. So some of the most basic ones would be the length function. So if you wanted the length of x, oops, I'm losing my mind. Print length x. If you printed the length of hello world, you get 12. So it's 12 characters long. You could also, if you had the string x equals hello worlds, there's a strip function. So okay. Length returns the number of characters in the string. You also have strip. Strip removes any empty space at the ends of the string. So one important thing about the strip function is if you have a text file, like say you had like a notepad document just with a message or like written letters or whatever, you can use the strip function to remove a new line and print it as if it was one continuous string. So if you had like a paragraph and had multiple lines, you could use the strip function to make it all as if it were one line, which is helpful for like reading text files. But yeah, that's just one thing about the strip file, but strip function. So if you had this new message, x is hello world, the space, and you stripped, the first message would have the spaces at the ends. You can't see the second space. And then when you print the stripped version, it removes those empty spaces. There's also the upper and lower methods. So lower returns a lowercase version of string, and then you have upper, which returns an uppercase version of the string. So if you printed x dot lower, here you printed x dot upper, you run. First you put it into all lower cases. I'll get rid of the spaces for now. That space. First, it puts everything in lowercase, so you make the H lowercase, and then you make everything uppercase. That's why you see the all lowercase and uppercase versions. Two more methods. You have the replace method. So let's say you want to replace the L's. There's 3 L's. If you want to replace all of them with J's, you can do this. So you did print x dot replace, and then you replaced L with J. What's going on? You run. Hello world, but all the L's are replaced with J's. And then one last function. Let's say you had like a string, just things separated by commas. This would be the split function. It returns a list of substrings separated by delimiter. So a delimiter is just like it's like a value or a character, something that shows separation between parts. So if you you had Z is, you just had a list of fruits or something, apple, orange, banana, pear. You wanted to print Z dot split. You do this. You run. It returns a list of substrings that are separated by the comma. So the comma is, you pass it in as a parameter, and that's what is going to be used to split the string into substrings, and then each of those substrings is given to you in a list. So you have apple, orange, banana, and pear. So those are just some useful methods that can be used with strings, and again, there's a ton of them, so I'm not going to go through all of them. These are some of the most basic. There's also, you can also search a string to see if a phrase appears. So let's say you had print hello in X. Let's just do Y. It's the same thing, whatever. So you can do in and not in. So in will search the string, and if it's in will search the string, and if this string is found in this string, then it'll return true. If it's not found, then it'll return false. So you run. So this string hello is found in hello world, so it's returned true. If this was an X and you run, the first is true because this is true, and then false because there's no X in hello world. And then if you did not in, hello is in Y, so it's false that it's not in Y, if that makes sense. So because this is found in here, but this is not in, it's false. And then again, if you had like an X, this is true because this string is not found in Y, so that means this whole statement is true, and you just print true. So just a couple last things about strings. Concatenation. So concatenation is when you add two strings together, or you add one at the end of the other, you append it. So if you had the string A is Jim, and you had B is space is a man, and you wanted to add these two strings together, you could do so just by using the addition operator. So you had A plus B. Jim is a man. So it's one string. And then if you also wanted to, if you want to do, instead of a variable, just another string, you could do that. And you could say he programs. You run. Jim is a man, he programs. It's all one string. You can concatenate three things together. So yeah, strings can be added to each other using the addition operator to create new strings. So you could just do C equals A plus B, and then get rid of this and just print C. Jim is a man. So C is a new string made up of two substrings. So these two are combined into a single string, and then you store the new string in C. And then strings can also be manipulated with special characters. So a lot of them, they start with slash. So like the most common example would be the new line character. So new line character. It's /n. So if you wanted to print hello world with a new line, but you wanted to skip a line by denoting it inside of the string, you would do this, hello world. And you should see hello and then skip a line and then world. So you run hello world, and there's a space there because of this space. So there's other special characters like this that can be put in strings to do certain things, like put in a tab or all sorts of things. You can also use the format function to place numbers in specific locations in a string. So let's say I had the string I am blank feet tall, age blank, and weigh blank pounds. And you wanted to insert numbers into those locations, you could just do this. Print text dot format 6, say 26 and 200. You run. So it says I am 6 feet tall, age 26, and weigh 200 pounds. So it puts the 6 here, it puts the 26 here, and the 200 here. So the format function can just be used to insert numbers into specific locations based on like the order of the parameters. So this is automatically ordered, so the 6 will automatically go to the first, and then the 26 will automatically go to the second, so on. But if you wanted to change the order, you could switch the numbers. So you could make this 2, this is 0, and this is 1. Again, we always start with position 0 in Python, not position 1. So this would be the 0 parameter, this would be the 1 parameter, and this would be the 2. So it changes the order of the message, and it says I am 200 feet tall, age 6, and weigh 26 pounds. Because parameter 2 was placed in the first slot, and then parameter 0 was placed in the second slot, and parameter 26 was placed in the 1 spot. So yeah, there's a lot that goes on with strings. They're annoying to manipulate, and that's why there's lots of methods for them. But yeah, this is just a basic introduction to strings. If you found this information informative and want to learn more about strings or Python, You can check out our courses at rootfabric.com. And thanks for watching. Thanks, bye.